Kadosh Boker Tov. We're just continuing with halachot of Amira leGoy. Right now, if you have a non-Jew that he's working for you and he's going to be paid, whether it's going to be per day, per month, per week, per year, which means that he's not being paid for the job, he's being paid as a salary. This is his salary. So he's working for you. Many times this happens. You could have a handyman that he's paid per month and he has to fix all the things, whether it's in your different establishments, whether it's going to be in your house, other places. And then you have somebody that he's only getting paid per job. So we already spoke about that if he's getting paid per job, which is called kablanut, in such a case it's going to be permitted in the majority of the cases because there's no schir yom of Shabbat, which means there's no salary of doing it on Shabbat. Still, you're not allowed to tell him to do it on Shabbat. But if he did it on Shabbat, he's doing it on his own accord, and therefore it's going to be permitted. However, though, once it becomes a schir yom, or schir chodesh, schir shavua, schir shana, doesn't matter what it is, that he's getting paid a salary, doesn't matter whether it's going to be the week, the month, the year, doesn't matter what it is, all of a sudden what happens now is that it's going to be asur to have him work on Shabbat. Again, we're not talking about telling him to work on Shabbat, because you're never allowed to tell him to work on Shabbat. We're talking about that right now, even if he does the work on his own on Shabbat, you have to be mocheh, you have to rebuke him. Why do you have to rebuke him? Because right now he's doing something for you on the Shabbat, and it's going to be prohibited, and therefore it's going to be prohibited to benefit from such a melacha as well. Now, this is always usually if it's going to be, for example, you're very makpid in the hours. So, for example, the guy doesn't show up today. You're going to call him up. You're going to say, "Hey, where are you? Right? Why didn't you come?" So he's going to, "Okay, fine. So today I didn't come. Tomorrow I have to work double." Things like, once you're makpid on the time, so therefore it makes it that he's a schir yom, and therefore it's going to become prohibited. Other people want to say that if you're not makpid on the time, meaning that, okay, so he's going to miss a few hours there, a day here, a day there, so then it becomes kablanut. But again, it's not that simple. A lot of opinions still are going to prohibit in such a case. So therefore, whenever it's going to be the case of a schir yom, you always have to remember what exactly are the circumstances. So is it that he's coming, and that's what we mentioned, for example, somebody comes and he's going to fix something in your house, right? So if it's going to be a kablanut, so technically speaking, again, you have, according to the Ashkenazim, you have a problem of maritain, but people are going to come and say, he told him to come and work on Shabbat. But according to Sfaradim, Maran Shulchan Aruch, as long as the majority of the people in the city do it b'kablanut, there's no problem of maritain. Why? Because everyone knows that they do it b'kablanut, and obviously if he's coming on Shabbat, it means that he's got another job on Monday to Friday, and he's probably just wants to do it to get extra cash, so he's doing it on his own accord. He's not doing it for you. But that was b'kablanut. Once it becomes schir yom, that he's your worker, it's always going to be prohibited. The last halacha, which I think is very, very important, is, are you allowed to rent out to a goy a utensil? Doesn't matter whether it could be your car, it could be any other type of electronic utensil. So the halacha actually says like this: a goy that he's going to come and rent out a utensil from a Jew, for whatever amount of period it is, there's no isur if he's going to do a melacha on Shabbat. And the reason why is because we do not have an isur of shvitat kelim, which means our utensils are allowed to work on Shabbat. There's no problem mitzad ilchot Shabbat that our utensils or our property could work. What's one of the biggest proofs? A plata chashmalit is on. That's our utensil, it's our money, and it's working on Shabbat. The lights are on, and it's working. There's no problem, there's no isur that our utensils are going to be working on Shabbat. According to Shitat Shulchan Aruch, even if you're going to give the utensil mamash erev Shabbat, he's allowed to come and take this utensil as long as he rented it from you, and he could work. And you can do whatever he wants with it. Now he does say here, but according to the Ramah, if you're going to do it erev Shabbat, it's going to be asur. Even if he's going to have it for a very long time, because it looks like he's doing it right just for the Shabbat, and therefore it's going to become a problem, and it looks like he's doing the shlichut of the Jew. However, though, before Erev Shabbat, even according to the Ramah, it would be permitted. So, for example, you could come and you could give him, whether it's going to be an electric screwdriver, anything which is going to be a utensil, which is going to be visur, you're allowed to rent it to him. There's no problem, even though he's going to be doing things on Shabbat. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more details on every single one of these cases. We're first just giving the introduction, the concepts, and then afterwards, V'ezrat Hashem, each one in its time, about explaining all the halachot more in depth.